Hello everybody, it's me, Nikki, and today I'm here with a book tag. I'm doing the Persuasion tag, a Jane Austen book tag, created by Amrita. She is participating in a Jane Austen buddy read. Of that they're all reading Persuasion, and on January 30th they're all going to talk about it. So she tagged the people who are participating in that. However, I know that I can do this tag because it works for people who haven't even read Persuasion or have never read a Jane Austen book. So let's get started. I'm excited to do this one. The first question. Persuasion has been successfully adapted to screen many times, like other Austen books. And name your beloved on-screen adaptation of a book published before 1900. Can I say, I have two, and one might not work. The first one is Much Ado About Nothing by Kenneth Branagh. Well, it's by William Shakespeare, but the movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Kenneth Branagh, starring Denzel Washington, starring Keanu Reeves. Like, everybody was really fucking hot in that movie. Like, ugh. I love that movie. But technically that's a play, not a book, but it was published in a folio. So you know what? Let's just go with that one. I love Much Ado About Nothing. I love the play. I love the movie. It's perfection. So, question 2. In Persuasion, Anne and Captain Wentworth really go through the wringer. What's your favorite angsty romance that isn't Anne and Captain Wentworth? Oh, I don't really read romance. I mean, some of the fantasy books I have a romance in them. I'm trying to think. When I was watching Amrita go through everything and have her picks, I was like, oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, I can do that one. This one I'm like, I guess no, can't use Much Ado About Nothing. Othello, they die, so I'm like looking around at all my books. Can I use a video game? No, I won't use a video game. That's cheating. How about, this might be cheating. I'm reading the Arabian Nights right now. Is that an angsty romance? Because I think Scheherazade loves him. But she doesn't want to die, and she doesn't want anyone else to die. And I think, well, I know he grows to love her because he doesn't fucking kill her. But that's really the only thing that's coming into my head right now. Oops. Sorry. Captain, this is question 3 now because I've cheated on the second one. Captain Wentworth is a naval captain, so tell us about a book featuring a lead character who's in the branch of the military. I'm going to pick... His name has left me. Oh. Tim. There we go. William Lawrence. He's a captain. He was in the Royal Navy. Was that what that guy was in? Yes, but then he becomes like in the aerial corps where he's a captain. So he's in the Navy and in the Air Force? Aerial Corps, Air Force. And I love him. He's so goddamn sweet. Ugh. It's a fantastic. He's fantastic. And I just love that, like, he's like, oh my god, dragons. And then he's like, oh yeah, Tem is the love of my life. Do you want a pagoda? We will build you a fucking pagoda. So, everybody get yourself a Captain William Lawrence. Question 4 is British naval captains were famous adventurers. What's your favorite adventure story? And I'm going to copy Amrita. She said King Solomon's Mines. And I also quite enjoyed that. I mean, she brought up everything that was wrong with it. It's racist, white saviory. You know, it's of its times, but it's a good fucking adventure story. Ugh. Yeah, and is it the first? Or it's part of, like, because it's Alan Quatermain, and then he, like, goes off to have more adventures. So I like that. Number 5 is Anne is quite a dutiful sister. What's your favorite literary sibling relationship? I'm picking... let me make sure I get their names right. I'm picking Raistlin and Cameron Magier from Dragonlance. I first read them in their series. It's Time of the Twins, War of the Twins, and Test of the Twins, because they're twins. But it's like, sort of like one is a big Hercules and one is a smart magic man. Yes, I have those somewhere in my house. They're probably in my garage, but they are like complete opposites. Like I said, Cameron is, cause Dragonlance is based on D&D, so he's like a warrior, maybe a barbarian type. So he's not very bright, but he's really smart and really strong. And Raistlin is a mage, and he's, whenever he does magic, because I just read, was that the first one? Dragonlance of the Autumn Twilight. So that's where, like, you're sort of first introduced to him. Every time he uses magic, he gets sort of, like, weak and sick. And he was never robust anyway. Yeah, he coughs blood. He has white skin and golden hair. And hourglass eyes. I'm reading off the Wikipedia because I don't want to forget this part. He has in Dragonlance, there are 3 robes. Red, which are neutral, white is good, and black is evil. And Raistlin is actually very powerful and very smart. And so he starts out as neutral, but then he becomes evil, which is sort of what the twins books are about, where they have to fight each other. And then he doesn't want to hurt Cameron, but in the end he does. So that is sad. But I do like their dynamic, because they are twins, and I like the dynamic. And because they're like, love each other but hate each other, and it's just a weird thing. So yes. Number six. By the standards of the time, Anne was a spinster. What is a book where the female lead is an older woman? The first thing that popped into my head is Miss Marple. I love Miss Marple. I think she's fantastic. I mean, you wouldn't have a Murder, She Wrote without Miss Marple, I don't think. And I always hold that Poirot would like Miss Marple, but I think Agatha Christie said he wouldn't. David, maybe not the Poirot she wrote, but the David Suchet Poirot would like Miss Marple because she uses her little gray cells. And she notices everything because she's a little old lady sitting in the corner reading or knitting, and nobody pays attention to her, and she gathers all the information and solves the murder. So we like that. Number 7 is Persuasion is one of the most critiqued or referenced books in English literature. Name a book whose plot or characters or central ideas reference another book. Let me think. Deadpool? I'm gonna say Deadpool comics because he references other Marvel books. He references his own movies. He references the other movies. He references video games. I mean, that's probably a bit on the nose, but that is all I can think of. Number 8, Captain Wentworth made his fortune at sea. Tell us about a book with a self-made lead character. Oh yeah, it's going to be Kaz Brecker from Six of Crows. He dragged himself out of the gutter, almost quite literally, to become, well, he was like the power behind, but he was the leader of his gang, and then he basically rules the rest of the gangs. So yeah, and he's pretty wealthy. I think he hoards his wealth, but yeah, Kaz Brecker. And number 9, Persuasion has a lot to say about traditional gender roles. Excuse me. What's a book that plays with traditional gender roles? Ooh, that's a good question. Probably the Mistress of the Art of Death series with Adelia Aguilar, because, as I've said before, she's essentially a coroner and a forensic investigator before they had those words, but she's a woman, so she can't, in England, cut open bodies and look at bodies. So she has to, hide it and all this stuff. But also probably any book I read where it has a woman solving a mystery. I was looking over here, they're on my shelves. They're not. I've got a couple nuns from the medieval times solving mysteries. And then the only way they're breaking gender roles is going out and talking to people, but they're nuns, so they get a little more leeway, especially if they're an abbess. Who else do I have? I've got some from the 1920s that were solving crimes, but that's sort of when things were flipped on its head anyway. So I would say the Mistress of the Art of Death books really play with, that, I think. And then question 10 is optional. Tell us a bit of trivia or a personal anecdote related to either Persuasion or any other work by Jane Austen. And the only thing I could think of was Clueless. I watched Clueless when I was younger, and it took me a very long time to realize that it was Emma. I actually had to watch, well, I didn't have to. I watched the Emma version with Gwyneth Paltrow, I think. And there were some bits where I was like, oh, that's like Clueless. And there's like a bit specifically at the end. Harriet expresses her love for Mr. Knightley, and Emma's like, oh my god, I love him. And they tell Harriet that they're going to get married, and I'm like, that's a bit like Clueless. And then I was like, oh, it is Clueless. Okay, this is, yeah. So that's fun. It's a pretty good adaptation, actually, as well, because you don't know. So, yeah. Sorry for that music. I closed something and music decided to play. Fun times. And question 11 is to tag. I tag everybody who is watching this and hasn't been tagged by Amrita. So, yes. That is everything. I quite enjoyed this tag. Even though I have not read Persuasion, I probably should since I do like Jane Austen. I just have a lot of other books to read first. I promise. I'll get to it someday. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a lovely day. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.